This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
Hey, good evening, Chicago Bears fans. Good evening, Northeast Sports. Welcome to the Halas Hall Report. I'm your host, Ken. Tonight, I got Mike and Mike. Good evening, Mike. How you doing?
Well, I'm going to say good evening.
There we go. Yeah, there Mike is doing his producing thing as we start off. So we got myself, Mike, and Mike this morning as we kick off the off season and we kick off a new partnership. As you saw in the intro, we are now a part of Northeast Streaming Sports, and we'll be on Roku starting this Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time as we kick off the off season for the Bears, and we start looking forward towards the next season while, of course, still paying attention to the playoff picture. And unfortunately, both NFC depends how you look at it. Both NFC North teams won this weekend. The Packers came in, completely obliterated Dallas. And again, what do you expect? It's Dallas. But the game probably of the weekend was in Detroit, right? Detroit and the Rams. Stafford comes back. Unfortunately, the Lions win by 1 point because Stafford couldn't get into the end zone. 3 trips in the red zone, they couldn't find it. And now, Mike, we own a stat. We now own a new stat. You're not going to like this stat, Mike. But I'm going to show it to you. You ready?
I don't want to see it.
Yeah, here it comes.
No. That's whatever. Well,
yeah.
Let's hope we can change that next season.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Next season. I mean, look, it did. At least it hasn't been over 30 years. There are Lions fans. Think about this. Their last win was 31, 32 years ago. There are Lions fans now in their 30s who in their entire life had never known what a playoff win looks like in Detroit. So, I mean, even you being as young as you are, you may not remember the Super Bowl, but you've seen the Bears in the Super Bowl.
Yes. So I saw Devin Hester running back for that kick return.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kick return and
NFL record. Yeah. First time.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucked. I'll be honest. It was a good game. I'll tell you what, that was probably the best game of the weekend. All the other games seemed to be wide margin scores, weren't they?
Yeah. The Kansas City and Dolphins game, that was upside. Tua did not look great at all. Underthrow, he can't play in the cold. There's a lot of question marks around Tua right now.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas, of course, got their asses handed to them. I mean, it wasn't even – Green Bay made us look really good by beating Dallas that way. Dallas is, 11-win team. The week prior, we gave them a hell of a game, and then they came down and made Dallas look like a junior high team. I mean, it was just embarrassing. And the AFC, was there a game that was even close of any of those games? I think the closest game of the week was the Detroit LA game. That was the only thing
that's the closest.
That came down to the last 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, the thing with Dallas, they have a much better defense than we do. as far as like all pros, like Deron Bland, nothing from that defense, nothing from Dak. You know, his goal was to not throw too many interceptions during the season. But when you get into the playoffs, totally different answer.
Yeah, he must have owed someone some money, right? Had to
Right.
pay his bookie.
Now they're going to be thinking, is Dak the guy?
They've got to be thinking that by now. I mean, you know, they might be getting a new coach on there. They might get, you know, who knows what they'll do. You know, we should start hearing maybe tomorrow, day after, because Jerry said, you know, well, give me a couple days, and he hasn't said anything since Sunday. So, you know, we might hear something very soon. But you know, there was something else interesting. You look at the Packers, right, and what they're doing with their young guys. But then look at what we've done. Right? You take their top two wideouts, Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at just what DJ Moore did by himself. Pretty impressive.
Very impressive. Considering all the rookies they have for Green Bay at the wide receiver position, you know, they got guys we never even heard of. And for them to play in the game the way they're playing is really impressive. The youngest team in the league going to winning the playoff game, destroying Dallas. You know, it says a lot about their team and the future going with Jordan Love.
Now, you know, Dobbs had a big game. In fact, it was almost like deja vu. He made that first catch right around the 50, and then it was like a drive later, almost the exact same catch. Hey, Woody, good evening. Woody's not with us this evening. He has a family member that's ill, so hopefully he feels better. You know, miss you, buddy. Tell your dad get well soon, and we're all pulling for him. So, and also, if you happen to be in Woody's area and need a new vehicle, hit him up on DM. He'll hook you up. Billy, of course, Mike Evans and Derrick Henry are coming soon. We'll get to free agency in a little bit, Billy. You know, I've got some room for you up here on the stage if you want to hop on, if you can. I know you might be out or might still be at work. But, yeah, you know, look at Mike Evans had a hell of a game this weekend. You know, Billy, that price tag we were talking about last week, and when Mike comes on, we get into free agents. We'll have to bring up the SPO track. I think that price tag might have gone up this weekend.
I don't know. He did drop a couple passes, big time passes,
but he made some big time catches.
He made some big stuff, so it weighs out, right?
No, you would think so, but no. You know, I mean, look at JJ, and we'll get to JJ in a bit. But you're like, okay, drop 2 pick sixes. How much money is that going to cost them? Probably not much, because you look at all the other stats and it drowns it out. You know, it's one of those things. But we're in the off season, so we're doing some things. Hey, good evening, Yoli. Good evening. Guys, let us know what you think about this next topic I'm going to throw up here. Oh, Billy's going to Detroit. Billy, did you score tickets to the game? And if so, I know you wear a Bears jersey because you're Billy. But look at we're starting to interview, right? So here are some of the people that are been interviewed or we are interviewing. Some names that I'll be honest, Mike, you're gonna laugh at me. When I saw Greg Olson, I'm like, the tight end. Olson. He's coming out of the booth to be an OC, really? But then
I thought the same thing.
But you know what though? When I thought of it, I'm like, you know what though? As an analyst, he's pretty damn good on TV. He knows offense. And then I said, okay, he was the QB coach for the Seahawks. Okay. So here are a couple of the guys. I don't know what to make of this list. We didn't talk about any of these guys before the season ended, did we?
I don't believe we didn't.
So Greg Roman's interesting. And hold on, let me prepare for my Greg Roman section of this show. When I bring Greg Roman, there you go. from his last hurrah. Okay, enough of that. I happen to be in NOLA for that Super Bowl. Greg Roman, there's a lot of talk about Roman, and Mike, I'll throw this up and then give me your thoughts. So look, a lot of people think that bringing Roman in is a sign that we are not moving on from Justin. Right? He coached Kaepernick.
Yeah.
He coached Tyrod Taylor. He coached Lamar Jackson during his MVP year. What does that say to you?
That says to me that Greg Roman, back when Lamar was the MVP that year, he's not known for his passing game as a coordinator. The running game, unbelievable, which Bears were number 1 or number 2 this past season. So I'm not a big fan of Greg Roman. I voted for him, but then I saw the passing game. He's not very good at giving up plays for passing for DJ or for whoever else we get. So it kind of worries me.
So my take on Greg Roman would be, if we hire Greg Roman, it just solidifies what we've been saying on this show for weeks now, that Justin Fields is going nowhere, and that we're drafting a wide receiver in the top 9, be it Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1, or if we trade out at 2 or 3. And if we trade out of the top 9, then we'll probably, try to get the kid from LSU. There was another. There's a couple that we can nab in the first round and probably be okay. Marvin Harrison Jr. though would be my preferred, probably most of our preferred, most of the fan base preferred. The last time you had a guy like him come out, it was Megatron.
Right.
So would you like to have Megatron on this roster with DJ Moore? I would. So I think Greg Roman signing as OC is a definite signal that Fields is staying. I already think Fields is staying. I know, Mike, you do too. Both Mikes do. We've all talked about it for weeks now, and we'll talk about it again later. But I mean, for me, it's a clear sign that Justin is the quarterback. And I think, though, Mike, I agree with you that Lamar wasn't passing much that year. If I remember correctly, the only wide receiver he really had that year was Hollywood Brown, and Hollywood Brown was over 1,000 yards.
Yep. He threw it. Well, I do give him credit. He did. I didn't mention this. He did throw a lot to Mark Andrews, tight end.
So if he comes here, I mean, and look, I love Hollywood Brown. I was super pissed. I got a Hollywood Brown helmet decked out. 3 days later, he gets traded to the Arizona Cardinals, where he's had injury issues. But when he's healthy, he's still the guy in Arizona. So I would think that Greg Roman coming here, obviously our run offense, I think we were top 5. I don't think we were 1 or 2 right now. Our run defense was number 1. Our running offense was like number 5 or so. We were in the top 5. There you go, Billy. So I think Roman, though, definitely improves the run game. But I think the pass game, if you've got DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr. just by capability of what you've got on the field with our tight end room, and we'll get into that in a second too, I think it's a definite improvement for this team, because the threat of Justin being more like Lamar, right, which we all think he can be. I mean, the comparisons are being made. And Lamar is about to have a second MVP year. He might be the odds-on favorite right now. If you're in the camp of we're keeping Justin Fields, if you're in the camp of we're getting rid of Justin Fields, then you're going to want another person probably.
Yeah, right. Well, you said it. They kept Matt, or Ryan Poles kept Matt Eberflus around. Yep. That makes us think that Justin is staying, because we don't want to do the carousel like we did with Mitch and John Fox. You draft a quarterback, you fire the head coach, get a new head coach. Now, you're letting go of that quarterback. We're not doing that. So you keep Justin. That's what we think is going on. So as Greg Roman, as a potential OC, it's not bad, but it still has my doubts.
We'll get in the Fields here in a little bit. I got them in a couple topics. We'll talk specifically about trading Fields or not. And I got some other things that where I think they've tipped their hand. But let's look at our other free agents right now. So, okay, we've got the exclusive right, the restricteds, and then the unrestricted free agents. And there's a lot of them, right? When you look at this list, as far as guys unrestricted, The restricted and the exclusive rights, really Blackwell is the only one, and he was a depth guy. We're okay, but I don't think anyone's going to take a run at him. But you look at some starters here. Patrick Scales, right? Our long snapper. He's been with us forever. Long snappers tend to stay in the league forever too. But look at these other guys. EQ is on there. Jalen Johnson, Ngakwe, Lucas Patrick, Tunyon, Foreman, Mooney, Dustin Jones, Mercedes Lewis. So when you look at this list, I'll leave it up there for you, Mike. Who do you think? Who do you think is going to stay? Who do you think is going to go?
I think Yannick Ngakwe is going to go. Lucas Patrick. I think we're going to go younger at tight end, so Robert Tunyon may be gone. Deontay Foreman, I can see it going. Trent Taylor going. Dylan Cole, he doesn't really do much for me, so I think he'll be gone. He's more of a special teams guy. But definitely Patrick Scales you keep around. Rasheem Green, if it's cheap, yeah, why not? Justin Jones, he's got 4 sacks in the season. I think that's
Something
the most
like that,
he's ever had.
Second on the team,
so you might want to keep him around as a depth piece. Dan Feeney, you got to keep him from the mullet just alone for that. Jalen Johnson, give him that contract. You'll regret it. And then EQ, I know his brother's trying to get him to go to Detroit, but I think we can get him to come for another year.
Yeah, so I mean, here's a list that Mike threw together, and I'll go to that first because some of the guys already are already on there. Jalen, yeah, I mean, you got to give him. He's going to get the tag or he's going to get signed. EQ, no matter what we do in the draft, I think he's a smart signing at a million, 1.5. He's cheap. That's what we went for last year. It's probably what his Spotrack is. He does a lot of good things that people don't necessarily always notice, like blocking. He does run good routes. He does come with some big catches. Jones, I like to see as well. He played really good in there, and depending on what we do in the draft, you got to, you want to have that veteran. If I go back to the list, Ngakwe's gone. Lucas Patrick, I would sign because of what I'm going to do in the draft. I don't want to trust it to a rookie or a free agent. And my other option, if I don't re-sign Lucas Patrick right now, and he's not a bad option, but he's better as a lineman versus center, is God, I hate when I brain fart. Mike, you know what I'm saying? He's played every position on the O line for the Bears.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know if I want him to go back full time. I think I'd rather re-sign Lucas Patrick. I think you can get him cheap. Foreman, unfortunately, is probably not gonna stay.
Yes, thank you, Cam Butters, Cody Whitehair.
Yeah, Cody Whitehair. Thank you, Cam. Whitehair would be your other option. That's why I think Lucas Patrick stays. Darnell's gone. Dan Freeney, I don't know. You know what? Mercedes Lewis, if he doesn't retire, once again, low cost, high reward. The play of the tight end room in general, just from him being in the room and the things he does on the field, the blocking. Yeah, he only had a couple catches. He's not here to make catches. He's here to block, and he does a phenomenal job of it. So
and he exceeded that with catching a touchdown.
Yeah, and he gets the occasional touchdown. So, and look at, a lot of these guys are going to be cheap. But I think a lot of it will also, some of it will tip the hand for the draft. But I think like some of the sign, your long snapper, you're not tipping your hand, you sign them. Your center, you re-sign him. Maybe you give him a year deal, maybe a 2-year deal, cheap. Or a 2-year deal with the second year being a team option, right? Low guaranteed money. So I think you draft the center in the draft at some point. So I think that's where we can go. But then we get into now we're starting to get into draft stuff. We're talking needs and trades and all right. I'm going to throw this up because I know you guys are all looking on Facebook. You're looking on X. You're looking on wherever platform you go to, and you're seeing all these crazy trade scenarios. Well, we're going to do it too because it's the off season and we got time. You ready?
Oh man, that's tough because it's not the player, it's the price tag that comes along with it, the pain for him.
Yeah, and let us know in the comments what you think about this while we talk about it real quick. I mean, but Mike, what do you think it would cost to get Crosby?
Well, definitely our first for us to get him, or what do they have to give us, or we have to give up?
We'd have to give up, or it would be probably.
I think it's going to be a first and probably a future second.
It'd be in a package deal. I would say it'd be a package deal. Maybe something like with the DJ Moore trade, like they want our first, but we want Max Crosby if they want to get their quarterback, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it'd be a first and a future second.
I think we would swap first for sure. Maybe take a first from the next year. Because remember, it's the number one pick overall. But I mean, here I agree with your initial comment though, is the cost of him is just he's got a big contract. And we have $64 million, and we're gonna save a little maybe.
You're going to give him over $75 million in the next 3 years. That's why I would say no. Great player, but that contract is too heavy.
Yeah, we still got to pay. We're going to put more money on our defense than our offense. That's why I said no.
Not only that, you're going to have to give up probably that first round pick, at least one of them.
Well, and then when you look at our picks, I mean, we've got this is where we're sitting right now, and where are the Raiders at 12 or something? So I don't know if I'll move that far back either if I'm going to trade out of one. But then the fact is, he costs a lot. Like Mike said, he costs a lot. So that's the one we're going to talk about. Let us know in your comments. Mike will throw them up there as they come in on that trade. But while those comments come in, we're going to talk about this real quick, Mike and Mike. All right, here are the needs. Right? When we look at the draft, you saw what our picks were. Here are our needs going into the draft, we think, right? Wide receivers 2 and 3, a 3-tech tackle, interior O-line, a center, a backup tight end, a backup safety, and possibly a punter. You probably don't have to draft a punter. But here's what's out there. You've got Harrison Jr. and Nabers are the top 2 receivers. Joe Alt's going to go top 10. Latu might go top 10. Where's the kid? Oh, Mike, I wish you don't have the kid from that kid from Bama that a lot of guys, defensive edge, a lot of guys think that we're going to take.
But as you look on the list, we need a center, and really there's only one decent center in the whole draft, I feel. There's possibly 2, but they're not ranked very high.
Yeah, that's
so you could get them in the 3rd.
I'd rather go for the experienced center. One from
well, that's why I didn't disagree. The only thing I disagreed with you guys that I didn't say nothing. I'll let you guys talk was the Feeney. Like we traded to get him. Yeah, he was hurt. Patrick is hurt. I just feel they're going to go the Feeney way and let Patrick go. Because we also have Kramer that they just brought up. I know he's back and forth from the practice squad to the roster, but we drafted him too.
So let me see. With this one here, won't get there yet. I agree with you. I think you can draft a center in the 3rd, 4th, 5th. We don't have a 6th or 7th, right? So you could take one of your 4th round picks, or maybe the 5th even, and get you a center that's not going to be your starter this year per se. You could, if he works out, but I think it's more one of those you draft the center this year for the future, and have one of your current guys on the roster, as your center.
Which I want Feeney, and you guys got Patrick, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I don't want Patrick.
It could go either way because
I agree.
It could go. It could be we can keep Feeney and Patrick and cut Whitehair.
We'll get to that later. I got my opinion on that for sure.
So continue looking at the draft needs. Of course, here are some of the decisions, and these are basically your top four of your top 5, 6 guys in the draft, right? There's a lot of clickbait out there. 38% of the mock drafts before the playoffs had Caleb Williams going to the Bears. Now it's like 50 or 60% have Caleb Williams going to the Bears, if you believe the mock drafts. Okay. Marvin Harrison Jr., probably the best player in the draft. And the last time a wide receiver was the best player in the draft, like I said before, was Megatron.
I agree. I said I agree, but he's number 2 on most charts that I see. Caleb Williams is 1.
Well, I think it's because part of that's because don't they always just put the quarterbacks first?
Seems that way.
So, bear down, Mike. Do you think there's a snowball's chance in hell that we're drafting Caleb Williams or Drake May with the number 1 pick?
I think if I had to put a percentage on, let's say like 7% chance that we will. And it's nothing against. I don't think it's anything against Justin. I think it's more of the contract, right? That's what I'm thinking. That's what they want to reset that rookie contract. I hate to see Justin go. I think he's not being given a fair chance. I mean, you give him a number 1 wide receiver, and he flourishes with them. So, but I think Coles is going to draft Caleb.
Mike, what about you? My other Mike.
I think they're going to keep Fields. I don't think they're going to trade him. That's my opinion. I think they're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 1. Because if you look at our needs, if we don't take that wide receiver, he could trade down and get the needs that we need. But I feel they're going to get another wide receiver because Justin Fields did get better. He's got to improve on some things, but he also missed 4 games. DJ Moore did have his best career as a player stats, not NFL, but him personally, he had the best stats of his career with Fields and Badgett.
I know we said that if Flus is staying, that Justin stays. But what's the goal for next season? Playoffs, right? We got to be in the playoffs. Do we trust Justin to get in the playoffs? Or I should say, does Poles trust Justin to get in the playoffs? Or is he going to trust the rookie quarterback to get us the playoffs? Because we don't get in the playoffs next season, Flus is gone. Now we're starting that cycle all over again.
Let me build up that real quick, though. Because
we were losing by 14 points or more. If the 1 or 2 of those games went the other way, we could have been in the playoffs this year.
So, but let me build off a couple things.
From the north
let me build off what Bear Down Mike said. A couple things, and I agree with Butters. Not a chance of drafting Caleb, and here's why. Number 1, when you're building and when you're building a team to win, you're not building the reset contracts, right? So if I get rid of Justin Fields and now I bring in Caleb or Drake, I've now set my organization back maybe a year, maybe 2. Granted, what Stroud did in Texas is commendable and it's a hell of a thing, and that lightning does not strike often. It's happened maybe a few times in the NFL. I can't remember a guy who came in his rookie year, made the playoffs like that.
CJ Stroud just did it this season.
I said since Stroud.
Since Stroud. Okay, I didn't hear that part.
Peyton Manning lost 13 games his rookie year, I think. Andrew Luck lost a ton of games his rookie year. Matthew Stafford lost a ton of games his rookie year. Goff lost a ton of games his rookie year. Breeze, they all lost tons of games their rookie year. So it's more of a one-off than the norm. I know some people out there, but look what he's doing in Texas. That's not the norm. And you couldn't predict that was going to happen. So that's one thing. You're not building a team for 5 years from now. You're building to get the playoffs next year and to win a Super Bowl next year. Because when you're saying you're building to get in the playoffs, it's not just to do one and done. No, your goal is to get the playoffs to win the big game. So why am I going to reset when I'm building this team? I just traded for Montez Sweat and signed to a 3-year deal. Most of my deals I signed last year were 3 or 4 years. Guys, that's a window. So why am I going to reset my window when I've already put it into motion? That's number 1. Number 2, if we hire Greg Roman, that just says it right there. We want to win with Justin now. yes, Justin is. We have 2 more years left on Justin's rookie deal. We'll know, and we'll know soon too. By June 1st, right, is when they got to pick up the 5th-year option. So we won't know until after the draft on that. But if they pick up the 5th-year option, which I think they will, if we're keeping him, we're going to pick up the 5th-year option, and then they're going to negotiate an extension while he's still cheaper, which goes to Mike's contract issue there. But that's the other reason. Number 3, okay, if I trade him, I don't get this. Everywhere you see this, and I don't understand. Well, Justin's time in Chicago is over, and he needs to go to Atlanta. And when he goes to Atlanta, oh my God, they are going to be so good in Atlanta because Justin's going to correct all these problems that they have with their offense. Why the hell would I get rid of him then?
Well,
if he's going to go somewhere else and make them a Super Bowl contending team, why the hell am I going to get rid of him for a rookie that could be? He could be a good quarterback. He could be Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, that's the unknown, right? Well, let's say, I remember Mel Kiper saying this. What if Atlanta gave you the 8th pick in the first round?
Well, let's talk about that.
Would you do it then?
Because this is another one of the things that are out there. Okay, the Falcons seem to be the rumor mill that's the hottest, right? We get the 8th overall pick, right, for Fields. So I'd give us the number 1, number 8, number 9 this year. Plus, you figure we get something in for next year. It would be just the number 8. They'd probably give up the 8 and something else. Okay, if that happens, then it becomes Caleb or May. But what are you going to get? You're not going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. now.
Nope.
You might not even get a top tier receiver. The top 2 receivers could be gone by then. Could be gone, right?
So you go line.
So I'm going to draft a center in the first round. I can get in the 3rd or the 5th.
If he's top, if he's going to be.
I mean, at number 9, I'm probably going to get an edge rusher. I might get a receiver at 8. Well,
it depends on what's available.
The Packers fan. Wait, put that back up. Justin has done nothing to say he can carry your team at least on the average. Wait. Justin has done nothing to say he can carry your team at least on the average. Dude, you do understand he had more rushing yards last year than I think the Packers did. At one, not this last season, the season before. He can't. Well, you guys try to tackle him. He's hard to tackle. Yeah. Robert, I get it. You're a Packers fan. You're high on life right now because you beat a team that, well, my son's high school team could beat in the playoffs to beat the Dallas Cowboys because they just choked the playoffs. How about this? You go to San Francisco and beat San Francisco, and then come back and we'll talk some more. But as a Green Bay fan talking about Justin Fields, that holds about as much weight as, Green Bay winning multiple Super Bowls winning 4 or 5 Super Bowls over 30 years of Hall of Fame quarterback play. Oh, wait a minute. You had the Hall of Fame quarterback for 30 years and managed to. All right. Enough of the Green Bay.
Yeah. And he's got 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
One Super Bowl.
Get this.
He win the North all the time, but get
NFC championship rings as Aaron Rodgers. So, I don't know what do you do? First off, would you take that trade with the Falcons? Getting back on topic.
Is the number 8th pick? Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing that trade. That's nothing you can pass up.
Mike, the Bear fan?
Yeah, I do that trade. Like you said, plus we'll get some more in return as well. I would do that trade for sure. And then they'll definitely take a quarterback number 1.
So in a weird way, I'm like, I go back to my arguments I just made for why you keep Justin. I make that trade. I send Justin to Atlanta, and I take Caleb, and maybe I get a good wide receiver, not as good as Marvin Harrison Jr., and I'm still going to get my edge rusher at 9. I got to get more. I'm sorry, because I've set my team back a year or 2 now. Because if I stay the course, I've got a dynamic quarterback who's hard to bring down. We saw him break out of so many sacks where even the announcers were losing their minds that he was, escaping. And I add probably the best wide receiver the league might see since Megatron, with DJ Moore, who had a career high year this year, and I can still get my edge rusher at 9. I don't think I make that trade, guys, because I think I've got a proven quantity, and as much hype as there may be on these two young quarterbacks, I stand more of a possibility of sending my team back, not making the playoffs, and now in the new coach want a new quarterback cycle again.
Yeah, but just think about this, Ken. What if would you change your mind if, say, they did do that trade? That first pick is going to be that much more valuable, and say we trade down to the number 3, we could possibly still we'll have the 3, 8, 9 plus more, and we could still possibly get Harrison Jr. and our starting quarterback, and also
possibly
starting
blue chip players
linemen with that top 10. I mean,
So let's say we trade down
the
to
4 picks, he's been on the money.
So let's say we trade down to 3. So we're not going to take Drake May then. We're not going to take Caleb Williams because we're trading down. We're trading out to 3, let's say, which is going to be who is at Washington, right? Okay, so who's the next quarterback on the list?
Jaden Daniels. He's ranked at a number 11.
And right now he's right. So I can take him at 9. Let's say, so you're saying I take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3, and then 8, 9, the combo there is maybe Jaden Daniels or JJ McCarthy. Well, JJ McCarthy would be a reach. Even Jaden Daniels at 8 or 9 probably might be seen as a reach, but okay, let's say we do that.
But if you trade down, Ken, if you look at the rankings, if we trade down to 3 and we get that Marvin Harrison Jr., on those for the draft needs for other teams for a quarterback, 3, possibly 4 of those will be gone till we pick next.
So we might get stuck with Woody's favorite Bo Nix.
I wouldn't say stuck or JJ McCarthy over with Jim Harbaugh. Like, he had a pretty decent year.
Okay, but once again, though, aren't we in a win now or go home kind of mentality with the coaching staff and everything else? So,
No.
I mean, does anyone out there think Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy is going to take us to a Super Bowl next year?
No, we're not saying that, but we definitely got to make the playoffs. I mean, honestly, do we think the Falcons are really going to give up the 8th pick for Justin? Justin drafted at 11. Nobody's going to take him at 8. So we know that's not going to happen. Maybe a late first round. But, like, what if Oakland said, maybe they give up their 12?
I mean, because look, I'm going to use Robert's favorite word. We have a dynamic playmaker in Justin Fields. And yes, Robert, I did say dynamic, and many, many other people have said dynamic, including Michael Vick, Aaron Rodgers.
They also call him a magician, too.
Yeah. So there's a lot, I mean, I stick with Justin because, look, I know we've already seen what he can do, that he, given, even in bad circumstances, you look at the Washington game, look at a couple of these other games where, some games he just did what he had to do because that's what he was given to work with, and he made it work, and they won. And you look at a game like Washington where he was able to pop off. And you're like, wow, give me a play caller that can do things that make, because now looking, if let's say Roman's the guy, and now there's more Justin Fields running, and it opens up more passing, and you're with DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison, oof. So, I mean,
the thing Poles is going to be looking at, he sees the talent from Justin, he sees the talent from Caleb. It's going to go down to leadership with Poles.
Well, I think Justin also has a locker room.
He's got the locker room. He's got the players.
Yeah, he has the locker room. I do agree he has the locker room. But guys get traded all the time. Free agents go different places, so eventually they'll get over it. But if you're keeping Fields, you got to keep Justin. I mean, I'm with you guys. I want to keep Justin. I'm just saying, don't be shocked if they take a quarterback at number 1.
Here's the other argument for why we're keeping Justin. Because of 2 things that the Bears have done. One being said, one being done since the season ended. End of the season press conference, and they're talking about Eberflus, and they're talking about the offense. And he said, well, the offense is going to grow along with Justin next year.
Yeah, I remember him saying that.
Okay. Number 2, when they announced that the Bears are playing in London, they have plastered all their media stuff about the Bears going to London with a front and center. It's a picture of Justin. Right now, honestly, I get it. You draft their quarterback, you can redo stuff, but all the advertising they're doing right now for the Bears in London is Justin Field centric. So that to me is another little sign, as an organizational sign, that he may not be going anywhere at all.
Well, another thing, what are we horrible at doing? Developing quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We're terrible. We got to admit it. We're terrible. I'd rather much just keep Justin, let him develop under these OC. Yes, it'd be his third OC, but if he got traded to the Falcons, the Raiders, whoever, he'd still be on his third OC.
Well, look at all the. We don't have the graphic anymore, but last week we showed the graphic of how many offensive coordinators we've had in this town. I think we average one every other year, or 2 every other year. So it's some stupid number. We have more offensive coordinators than some teams have had, offensive coordinators and quarterbacks combined, like Green Bay. They've been. So I think that's part of it too. Is we've been. It's not just that we were a carousel quarterbacks. We've been a carousel. How many? This will be his Fields' third OC or fourth?
I think it might be his fourth.
Fourth.
Because he had Bill
Cutler
Lazor.
had
Third.
6 OCs for Jay Cutler?
Something like that. But Justin's only had 3. He had Getsy 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Well, didn't he have Nagy and Bill Lazor calling plays at one point?
But that was year 1. This was year 3. He's got 2 years left.
Okay.
Just because 2 people said or called the plays, it's still off OCs.
So, and then of course, the other thing we're going to have to, get into more as the season goes on. And we'll get more on this, Justin. Do we keep him? Do we trade him? Please keep putting in the comments. We'll put them up. But before I get to some of the comments on this stuff, we got some cap casualties. Excuse me. Possible cap casualties. And one I mentioned earlier, Cody Whitehair. Travis. Shoot. You get. Hey, Mike, are these all pre-June 1st or post-June 1st? Mike?
I have no idea.
Say that one more time.
Are these pre or post June 1st numbers?
Pre.
So if we cut them before June 1st, because usually, that June 1st number, it goes down for most guys, right? But hell, Travis Homer, they'll probably just cut him because you're losing $200K, big deal. That's nothing to them. But Whitehair and Jackson, bear down, Mike, of that list, I think. Well, first off, let me say this: does anyone think Travis Homer doesn't get cut?
I think he gets cut.
He gets cut for sure.
That's what I thought. All right, so let's go to Eddie Jackson, Cody Whitehair. What do you think? Bear down, Mike, on those 2 guys.
I think we keep Cody as a rotation piece and we let Eddie go, just because from what we've seen, he doesn't want to tackle. He just shoving guys. He's not doing anything to help this secondary out. So if they want to keep him as like a mentor, I get it, but in my eyes, I'm done with Eddie Jackson.
Before I answer, and before I go to Mike the Bear fan, Mike, what do you think? And I'll show the numbers again. Do you think Eddie or Cody stay?
I'm actually very opposite of Bear Down Mike. I think we're gonna draft possibly an offensive lineman in the draft. I think they're gonna cut Whitehair and we're gonna keep Jackson, because right now we don't really have a safety starting. I know we got youngsters with Brisker and Gordon, but I feel like they're gonna keep Eddie.
Yeah, I agree with you a little bit more. I think Eddie Jackson is more safe. I think we may draft a safety, but we're going to take a safety late, and it's not going to. He's going to be the guy who's going to replace Jackson after next year or throughout the year. I think he played well enough because we remember the play here, the play there, but out of 100 plays or out of 60 snaps, and let's say he's involved in 20 of them, we remember the one. We forget the other 19 where he did something really good. And you look at the defense, a lot of times, oh my God, why was he covered? Dude, it's a zone.
Well,
That guy was wide open. Not because Eddie Jackson missed his assignment. He was in his assignment and he reacted. But watch any other team in the league with great corners and safeties get caught in zones all the time.
Right. So, if you think about his contract on what you're saving, what we were talking about earlier about Feeney and Patrick, what if we keep both them and just get rid of Whitehair? Because he could play guard and center.
Yep. I think, I would agree more with that. I think on the Whitehair, I think Jackson stays because he's still good. He is still good. And you know what? That secondary as a unit is so cohesive. I don't want to break that up.
But Jalen's taking over that secondary as the leader.
Yeah,
Eddie's the old guy there.
Eventually, Jalen's still young. Yeah, he had his best career for sure. Best corner in the league. Like, he didn't give up any yards. He was tight coverage guy for sure.
And my boy Cam, man, he knocks out right there. Maybe they restructure him. Maybe they say, hey, let's restructure you for a 2-year deal. He's got 1 year left, so it'd have to be an extension restructure, right? Let's just restructure it for 2 years, make the money less, but keep you on for an extra year or two. I could see that too, and I think I'd be down for that too. If it's like, look, we're either cut you or we extend and restructure. I could see that. Now, Whitehair, dude, his whole career he's been solid in Chicago. He's been the guy. He's been the guy you can plug in anywhere. This year he finally missed a game because they benched him, but then he came back and was good again. So he's been relatively injury-free overall. He's had some injuries, but he's been consistent. Depending on where we draft in the draft and where we sit on money, right now I think he's also still an asset. Now, if we get into a money crunch issue because we're going to try to sign, throw up his, you know what? If we go with the dream team that a certain tailgater wants, right? We may have to cut him.
Mike Evans.
Right?
Didn't they want like $23 million per year roughly? That's a lot of money for Moore and him. That's $43 million before the pair of receivers.
DJ Moore is cheap. Harrison, you're paying for number one pick money. If you get him at number one, that's like what, $9 million? So I think that's already cut out of our cap space. When they say, here's how much your cap space you have, they already cut out for your draft.
Yeah, we have 60-ish.
So we have 60 plus whatever we draft. So I'm not worried about Marvin Harrison Jr. because that's already factored in. And so if we trade back, we actually gain cap space too, actually. Because number one is a higher number than number 3 is, money-wise. The way the NFL structures, right? Because remember, they went to that where the first round, it was like, look, dude, if you're taking number 5, here's how much you get paid. You can negotiate how much of it's guaranteed, but this is it, right? So
that's an expensive wide receiver, and he's not getting any younger.
No.
Yeah, Mike Evans.
He's solid, just too much money.
Yeah, I mean, you have to cut Whitehair. You have to cut Jackson if you're going to take – because keep that there. I'm going to pop over it, but I'm going to pop it back, okay? If you do – all right, look, if I cut Jackson and Whitehair, I'm there virtually, right? That's 21
all 3 are there.
I'm almost there. Oh, wait, no, I'm there. If I – wait, hold on, that's 21 plus I'm getting another – we'll call it 2. So I'm at $23 million if I cut those 3 guys, and now I've got Mike Evans. So, yeah, if you want Mike Evans, you basically have to cut those 3 guys. Eddie Jackson, Cody Whitehair, gone for sure.
Is there any other number 2s that would be a little bit cheaper?
Well, he'd be a number 3.
Well, Marvin Harrison. That's a lot for a number 3, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the Tyler Boyd train trying to get him. It'd be a solid number 3.
Now, look, if you get rid of Whitehair, let me pop back up to the numbers again. $9.1 million if I cut Cody Whitehair. I can go get King Henry for $10 million now.
Yeah. Or you
Right.
could maybe Dalvin Cook. Cheap.
Maybe Dalvin Cook if he's out there, but I don't know. Would you rather have King Henry or Dalvin Cook?
I'd rather have King Henry, but
Me too.
You know, he probably wants to win a Super Bowl, so you know he may want to go to a team that's in line to win one.
I think we're bringing up. Are we bringing up the numbers on King Henry?
No, it's free agents. What you're talking about on wide receivers? What free agents were out there?
All right.
What was Tyler Boyd again?
You said Tyler Boyd. His market value?
Yeah, his market value.
Oh, what was it 8.7?
You cut Cody. There's your guy right there.
Yeah, you could do that too, and not affect your cap.
Tyler Boyd isn't bad.
He's a solid number 3. I mean, but are they gonna trust Tyler Scott to be the number 3?
I think he'll be rotational. I don't think he earned a spot, just like EQ. You know, he's good for depth, good at blocking, depending on the play call, this and that. But we definitely need another solid 2 because I don't think Mooney will be here. I think
how much is DJ Shark?
I think he's a little expensiver.
I thought he was expensive.
0.9.
So there's a guy. If Carolina doesn't re-sign him, they're probably stupid because he was a bright spot for him. Odell, if he wins the Super Bowl, but he's still expensive, and he may stay in Baltimore if they can afford to keep him.
What about Michael Pittman?
Mark Hollywood Brown, I love the kid, but he's been injured a lot the last 2 years.
Michael Pittman's young. Is he going to be expensive?
T. Higgins is too expensive.
Yeah, T. Higgins. He's going to be a number 1 somewhere on a bad team. I think Carolina might pick him up.
So, I mean, there's a lot of options when we look at the free agency and we see who's out there. You know, let us know in your comments, what do you think? You know, give us some of your ideas too. Just not our 3 blathering heads going on about what we think. What do you guys think? I mean, there are some cap casualties. You know, we do have some draft needs, and I don't think we'll get into line-by-line positions this week. We'll save that maybe for Sunday or for next week. But, you know, we'll start looking at the edge rushers. We'll look at the wide receivers today because that's what we're talking about the most. Oh, hold on a second. It's not going to have Derrick Henry's in. Yeah, but I mean, okay, let's talk about the running back thing with Derrick Henry. Let's talk about free agents here. Derrick Henry, okay, if he's only effective as downhill, do we care when we have Roshan Johnson in the room? Do we care when we also have Khalil Herbert in the room? So
really, we kind of need that downhill running back.
Does Derrick even have to be your every down running back in Chicago?
No, not when you have Herbert, and now you got Roshan. You add King Henry to the mix, and it's only going to cost them back $5 million. It's not that bad. I know he's 30, but you're not making him carry the load. Only situational.
Yeah,
I think of a lot of the things that I've seen as far as like signings. Derrick Henry is a very reasonable one that I could see the Bears doing because it is a team that is on the rise for sure. We saw at the end of the season, this is a team that's on the rise. And he'd be going into a very good situation where he can contribute. And if you go back up to, if this is your OC, Greg Roman never had a good running back in Baltimore. Well, he did. He had Ray Rice before, you know, Ray Rice did Ray Rice things in an elevator. I think Greg Roman also is a good sign. If you sign Greg Roman as your OC, that Derrick Henry may be adding to your running back room. And also, you know what I like about Derrick Henry? While I think about it, what does a guy like Derrick Henry do for a guy like Roshan Johnson?
Be a mentor.
All right. You let Whitehair go, you got Henry, and you could do something else with it too.
I don't even have to let Whitehair go though if I want Henry at $5 million. At $5 million, I can keep I can keep them because look at how much we have. What 64? You said million, right? 64 million.
60-ish.
All right. Let's call it 65 for shits and giggles.
Here, I'll look.
All right. So I can keep everyone on that list and still sign Derrick Henry and still have a ton of money. See, that's the other thing. I can keep Eddie Jackson, $18 million on the book. I can keep Cody Whitehair's $13.3 million on the book. I can also sign for my free agents. I can probably give JJ 18 to 20. I can give Justin Jones a fair market value. I can give EQ $1 million. I can give Patrick Scales his 1.5 to 2 million. I can give I can sign the guys we want from this list and get Derrick Henry without having to cut Whitehair or Eddie Jackson. I think we'll see the cuts sooner than later.
We only have about 50-ish, 48 and some change.
So, okay, let's say I give.
Well, that changed it all.
On JJ's 20. I got 28 million. Then I got 28 million. Let's just spitball this here. I got 28 million with Jalen. I re-sign Patrick at 2 just for giggles. Right?
No, yeah, you still not gonna have a lot left. I mean, might let all 3 of them go.
If we get in that situation, I mean, but let us know in the comments who would you like this of the 3? Would you like any of them to stay? Would you like all 3 to go? Would you like 1 to go? Would you like maybe I Cam's idea? Why don't you restructure JJ's contract, or not JJ's contract. He's going to get a new contract. Restructure that contract, and make Eddie Jackson maybe we're instead of $18.1 million hits a $9 million hit or something. And welcome Andre to the show. Welcome to the show, Andre. How you doing?
Good in yourself. What's up?
Doing good. So we're talking about some cap casualties. What are your thoughts?
Are you just talking about period or just?
Well, we were talking about three specific, and I'll pull them up for you to take a look at. 3 guys that could be cap casualties in Chicago. You look at Eddie Jackson, who's right now a cap hit of $18.1 million. Cody Whitehair at 13.3 and Travis Homer at 2.1. And you can see on the right is their pre June 1st cap savings if we were to cut them.
Oh, how much you would save if you was to cut them?
Right. So if I cut all 3 of those guys, I'd save what? That's 10.
A little over 23 million.
Yeah, $23.5 million if I cut them.
You don't know bear talk.
Well, it's another fan base, so he's had to play against them. So, because from your foxhole, okay, you've had to deal with Eddie Jackson, ball hawking. You've had to deal with Cody Whitehair on our line. So, would you like this?
Who's been more effective,
Chicago,
Eddie Jackson or Cody Whitehair?
Well, Eddie's more effective, I feel, but Eddie Jackson is the 3rd highest paid Bear. Cody Whitehair is the 5th. So, I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I guess it would depend if you cut all 3. I mean, we all agree Homer's gone.
Yeah,
but
that's chump change, though. That's only not even.
Yeah, that's chump change. But if you cut those 2, why not say there's somebody else better you rather give that money to? Okay, let's say Buda Baker was available.
King Henry and Boyd. I know you like that. That's the money
that'd be
you
perfect
on there. Both of them. Boom.
Well, we agree those are better players than Cody Whitehair and Eddie Jackson.
Yeah, because then we'll keep Feeney and Lucas Patrick and yeah.
And there'll be some other cap casualties for us to choose from as well. I mean, Derrick Henry, I think, is the one guy. I know the guys in Green Bay are going, if the Bears get Derrick Henry, we're kind of screwed unless we fix our run defense next year. Green Bay was ranked 25th in run defense last year. If we pick up Henry and we pick up Roman and keep Fields, that we're gonna just run all over them.
No, I'm with you on that, Adrian. If he reconstructs for sure, because he likes being in Chicago. Players like him, the coaches like him, so I definitely see him staying. But Cody Whitehair, I definitely think he's on the downslope.
What if you restructure Cody Whitehair as well?
You think he
You know
actually
what? That
would?
might be a possibility.
I think Cody's been a Bear for what, 8 years now.
Yeah, but he's been on the downfall since they switched his position. Since his Pro Bowl year as center, they switched it, and I'm not saying he's been on the down, but he wasn't like he was when he was at
Are you
center.
at the remote?
I mean, but Cody, like, look, he's a guy. He knows he's maybe on the down a little bit. He's he's not a starter anymore. He got benched last year. And you say, look, Cody, we still like you, but okay, restructure for a 3-year deal for basically what we owe you for this year, or we just cut you.
If he did that, I'd love it for sure because he's even a rotational, like you said, pretty much everywhere on the line. Not really much of a tackle, but center and guard, he's down.
I think that's the other thing. The other mistake we make when we look at cap casualties is guys will restructure. Like Eddie Jackson, if he knows he's going to be cut, now Eddie Jackson probably stands a good chance of signing good money at another team. But he likes Chicago. He's good. That the locker room likes him. Cody Whitehair, same thing. I mean, those guys could restructure. So, some interesting ideas there when it comes to cap cash. Excuse me. And I think we're going to still see some. I don't think Poles is going to cut people early. If you notice with him, he cuts people a little late when he sees what's out there. When he sees what other people are cutting. And I think also if he can't restructure. All right. Well, that's our cap, some cap stuff and some free agents. Of course, let us know in the comments what you guys think possibilities are of signing some guys, some cap casualties. And we can also talk about a little playoff football. We got 2 NFC North teams going this week. We got the Packers against their nemesis, the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners have owned the Packers the last couple of meetings. The last one, of course, being Robbie Gould kicking the field goal to send Green Bay home. And then we've got Detroit, who, oh my God, finally won a playoff game. I think the banner ceremony will be at pre-kickoff. We'll have a banner ceremony for their first playoff win in over 3 decades. And they will be playing a red-hot Tampa Bay Buccaneers team who has a defense. So let's talk about the Packers game first, shall we, gents? Packers Niners. Andre, I'll go to you first. Packers Niners. What's your take?
I think Green Bay has a shot, but I think San Fran is going to come out on top. I think it's going to be a close ball game, like 38-20, 38-34. I think it's going to be close, but I think that the 49ers come out on top.
Okay, Mike, what about Bear Down Mike, what about you?
I'm gonna take San Fran. I think San Fran's defense is gonna step up and they're gonna stop Jordan Love. Remember, they added Chase Young, and then you got Nick Bosa on the other side, so they're gonna have to account for them. I just think San Fran is gonna get the job done easily. I think it's gonna be like 27, maybe 17.
Now, Mike, the Bear fan, I mean, look at Jordan Love's had a great year as a first year as a starter, 4th year as a pro. Going into San Francisco, a team that, they can't seem to beat. So Andre and Mike are with San Fran. Who are you rolling with this weekend?
Well, Green Bay started off kind of slow. Then they started picking it up a little bit. And the receivers have 2, and it's a bunch of pretty much nobodies, 1 and 2 year people, which Reed's been great for them as a rookie. I just think 49ers got too big of a roster. They're pretty solid everywhere. I think it's not gonna be quite the Dallas game, but I see 31-34-20.
All right, I'm gonna join in and take San Fran as well. Look at Jordan Love's had a phenomenal year. Green Bay's done so much better than they thought they were going to do this year. Give them some credit where credit's due, and they did Jordan Love right. I liked it when they drafted him a couple years ago. I thought it was the right thing to do, and it's paid off dividends. We've never been able to replicate that in Chicago because we force our young quarterbacks in the situation too early. I think Green Bay did the right thing, and Jordan Love is going to be their guy for the next couple of years. However, this defense in San Fran can bring pressure that Dallas was not. And yeah, Micah Parsons is great, but he was nothing last week. That Dallas has had some issues. I think San Francisco's got a better defense. I think they got a better offense in some respects. They got a lot better running game than what Dallas had. Dallas was the number 2 scoring offense in the league this year, but that was through the air. CMC, fellas, CMC. I think CMC is going to wreck this game.
He was a full practice today.
Stop him on the run with the 25th ranked run defense in the league. Debo Samuels.
Yep. Aku.
Ayuk.
Ayuk. Yep.
You know, and they're healthy. Sorry, Green Bay, your season ends. So all 4 of us here tonight, and Cam even said he takes an Irish. So let's go to the next one. The Detroit Lions gets their second playoff game. Hey, look at the first time it took almost 3 decades to get a playoff game. Now I've got them back-to-back weeks. So, Andre, you've got Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming into Ford Field. What's your take on that game?
Man, I love working at Ford Field, man. It's been electric this year, man. Tampa Bay's coming in. We already saw Tampa this year, but this is not the same Tampa team we beat 20-6. So we got to buckle down on defense and get after Baker Mayfield a little bit. And I see us walking out with the W by 3 points, like 31-28. I think it's going to be, Baker's going to do his thing, but I think we get after him a little bit.
Now Andre, though, I've got you, though, because, I mean, you saw that Rams defense really, Donald, they triple teamed, and no one else on that Rams defense did anything. I think that Tampa Bay has a better defense. So what do you think that, I think they'll get more pressure on Goff. So you don't think that's going to stem the tide more their way?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think us being home gives us a shot. I think us playing at home gives us a good shot.
All right, so Andre's taking the Lions with basically the +3 Vegas gives the home team. Bear down, Mike. Who are you taking on that Lions Tampa Bay game?
Oh, I'm rolling with Tampa. They got a better defense. Baker's lighting up. Not that Dolphins not lighting it up, but I trust that Tampa Bay to get a job done. They're doing both sides of the ball. We as Bears fans, we know we own Detroit for 7 quarters. Right? We know they had trouble. Baker can move. He got some wheels on him. He can move. We know Mike Evans is elite. It comes down to Detroit's defense. Are they able to stop these guys? And the past says no. So I don't think they're going to be able to contain Tampa Bay. So I'm rolling with Tampa.
Mike, the Bear fan, how about you?
I'm with Mike. I think, the Lions finally won, finally got off that goose egg in the playoffs. They had a good season. I just think with Baker Mayfield, they're the more hotter team going forward. I think they're going to get the job done for sure. I think it's going to be within 7 points, 1 score. It's going to be a good game, but I think Tampa is going to come on top.
I'm going to take Tampa as well. Sorry, the NFC North is out of the playoffs after this weekend. Look at Baker Mayfield. I've always liked Baker. He did really good in Cleveland, and then Cleveland did him dirty. Had a hard time finding himself when he left, and he found himself. He is doing really good things. You've been watching him get better and more comfortable and more dynamic and back to what he was when he, basically gave Cleveland their first playoff berth in forever, right? Their defense has always been good. Last year they had secondary problems. They don't have those problems this year. They were getting all over Philly this weekend. Philly couldn't do anything with that offense. and they have a good offense. They couldn't do jack. I think we saw what happens to Goff with a lot of pressure. The Bears got a lot of pressure on Goff, and Goff threw how many interceptions in Chicago? I think Tampa, they're smart. Yeah, 4 or 5 of his interceptions were all, and I think you're going to see the same thing. I think that they're not going to be able to run on Tampa. They're not, and Tampa's going to get on them. And yeah, St. Brown, he's great. But St. Brown was almost erased last week. He had a couple good catches, but St. Brown was not the deciding factor in that game. The deciding factor in that Detroit game was the inability of Matthew Stafford to put the ball in the end zone when in the red zone. 3 trips to the red zone they took, marched right down the field, and walked away with field goals. I don't think Baker Mayfield walks away with field goals. I think that this Tampa team is legit, and it's going to be Tampa going to San Francisco for the NFC Championship game, and Detroit is not going to like the score. I think they're going to lose. It's going to be a 2-score game easy for Tampa. I think I just great run this season. I give Detroit a lot of kudos, but we all knew they'd win the division. But congrats on finally barely by 1 point winning a playoff game you probably should have lost. Raise the banner pregame. You guys they'll on 365 and our Lions friends, they can shout about it all summer how they finally won a playoff game, but that's it. They're done. And throw up what Cam said. I got to give my boy some love there. He said that Detroit's going to take it, but it's going to be close. Probably the best game of the weekend, and look at that was the best game last weekend. Let me see. The AFC we've got, it might be in contention there. The AFC we've got 2 good games. We've got Kansas City going to Buffalo. Patrick Mahomes' first road playoff game going to the Buffalo. Who knows how many feet of snow they'll have by then? Andre, do you have a take on that game? Kansas City going to Buffalo.
I think that's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I got Kansas City winning, but I think Buffalo has a shot.
Yeah, bear down, Mike. I mean, Buffalo KC has been epic the last couple of years in playoff games. It's usually gone KC's ways. Is this the year that Buffalo dethrones KC?
Yes. I think Buffalo wins it, and I don't think it's going to be close. Look, KC played the Dolphins team. We're not used to playing in the cold. We saw Tua. He wasn't great. Josh Allen's a different kind of quarterback than Tua, right? He knows how to play in the cold. We know he can sling that rock in the cold. I think it's gonna be a great matchup, but I think I got Buffalo going to win this. I think it's their time.
Mike, the Bear fan?
I agree with Mike. I got Buffalo winning this. It's going to be, like you said, the first away game for Patrick Mahomes, and I don't think they got a good enough team to take it. I think Buffalo has a stronger team, and I think they're going to win it.
Oh, yeah. And screw Matt Nagy.
I'm with the Mikes on this one. Buffalo's going to win this one hands down. I look at what Buffalo did to Dolphins in Miami, and then I look at what KC did to Miami in KC. Buffalo thoroughly dominated them, unlike in warm weather in Miami. Miami was in that game in the first half, right? Tua made some mistakes. And if I look on the inverse, Allen made mistakes in that game in Miami, and they still throttled them. So I'm going to go with Buffalo to win this one by a margin. And the other game, I think, is going to be a blowout as well. Baltimore. Well, it doesn't even matter who Baltimore is playing.
Baltimore's been playing great.
Baltimore is going to win no matter what.
And now with the addition of the Baltimore on top of it with their roster.
Who's Baltimore playing? Oh, that's
C.J. Stroud.
Yeah,
that year they did.
I mean, anybody see that coming from the Texans?
Not at all.
No,
I didn't see that.
And the way but look how they won the division. Jacksonville chokes big time down the stretch. A lot of teams choked and opened the door. I mean, they had a great season. No one saw it, but I mean, another team, kind of like Detroit, great season, or more like the Packers, great season. We didn't expect to see you in the playoffs. You actually won a playoff game. Great job. But dude, Baltimore, come on. Baltimore has taken good teams all year and made them look silly. They made
Yep.
Detroit look silly. They made San Francisco look silly. They made Miami look silly. Who did they not make look silly this year in those big games? I mean,
Yeah.
so I think it's,
Yeah. I mean, they kicked the shit out of the 49ers.
yeah.
We all thought that
So
was going to be one hell of a game, and I shut it off at halftime.
next week we'll be talking about the AFC and NFC championship games, and I would be very, very surprised if we're not seeing Baltimore in that conversation. And I think that's going to be the biggest blowout of the weekend. So yeah, Cam's right. Probably the Detroit game is going to be the most exciting of all of them.
I have a question for you guys.
Yep.
Does anybody think Trevor Lawrence is regressing?
Did you say regressing?
Yes.
Yeah, regressing.
Because there's still questions if he's the guy in Jacksonville right now.
I think that we ask that question too often and too early with these young quarterbacks. We do. Because, like, we look at Herbert, and Alabama will say, well, Herbert's the guy. Okay, but he wasn't the guy like year 3, 4. You know what I mean? We look at guy who say, well, that's the guy, but it took him 3 to 4 years to be called the guy. So I think it's too early on these guys who've been in the league 2-3 years.
Well, you think they got to make the same decision as Holes does with Justin?
I think
they do pick it up.
Yeah, his 5th-year option is going to get picked up.
But that game, they blew that game. They blew to take the division.
I think what you're seeing is like Trubisky. We didn't pick up the 5th-year option, and we said for 4 years you're not the guy. Okay, fine. And there was argument to be made to pick up the 5th-year option and give him another year, right? But it was clear and obvious he wasn't the guy. 18 was a great year. 19 and 20 were complete horseshit. Compared to Justin Fields, who are seeing progression, you saw nothing but regression. Now you have a year where Lawrence, I don't know if you could say he regressed. He had a lot of success. They didn't have total team success this year. So I don't know. I think they're going to pick up his extension. Now look at by end of year 5, that 5th-year option year is the make or break year, kind of how it was for Danny Dimes.
Right.
And yeah, you're right. Josh Allen's not the entire offense. They can win, but Adrian, you have to admit, when you've got Allen, hey, what's their backup quarterback's first name? Is he Josh Allen as well? They're both Allens. I was thinking that the other day. Like, it would be hilarious if his first name was Josh.
Kyle Allen.
Kyle. Okay. I just think it's great that both their quarterbacks are named last name are Allen.
For the Bills, they're gonna have to get Stephon Diggs in that game.
Oh, they are.
I think he's getting a little upset there too.
But I mean, going back to your question, though, Trevor Lawrence, I think he's going to be that guy for them. He's going to be the ride or die in Jacksonville for a while.
What was his numbers for the season? Do you know, Mike?
Give me a second.
Because I know he was injured for 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, and he does throw up some interceptions, but I think when he's in, the whole team plays better.
Right.
I think he's going to be their guy. I mean, I bring up Mitch Trubisky, who I liked as a Bear, and I think Mitch Trubisky, when he moves outside the pocket, can be a good quarterback for teams if they designed the right offense for him. And I think 18 was a perfect storm for a guy like Trubisky because the offense suited him. And in 19 and 20 in Chicago, the offense didn't suit him. In Buffalo, he shined as a backup there because that offense suited him. When he went to Pittsburgh, the offense did not suit him.
Well, we know why he went to Pittsburgh. Chance to start.
Yeah, but the offense didn't suit him.
No.
Could he go to Atlanta and do well? I think the offense in Atlanta suits Mitch Trubisky better than his current situation. Well, let me blow this up so I can actually see the numbers.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
blowing it up.
Trevor Lawrence threw for just over 4,000 yards.
21
last year-
touchdowns, 14 receptions.
You know, the year before that, just over 4,100 yards.
He's the
His
guy.
worst, yeah,
It-
the worst one was his first year, and I was like 3,600, almost 3,700.
Okay, we see how many attempts he has, right? 564 this year. How many were Justin's attempts?
Well, and wait, before you click over to Justin, hold on. Notice he had 20 less attempts, so that's why you're seeing a little bit of the less yardage.
Right.
You know, I mean,
His completion.
the completion
For this
percentage
type
dropped
of-
a little bit, but the drop is minimalistic at best. What was his interceptions from last year to this year?
17.
Oh, he went up big time.
Yeah, he went up big time.
But I think he's still going to be their guy now. Now bring up Justin's. Yeah, bring up Justin's. Now we can go to
So
Justin.
564 yard or attempts, and I think Justin's like in the 300s.
Yeah.
So when it's talking about, oh, he's not a 4,000 yard passer, well, yeah, when you're not throwing 500, 500 and some attempts every season, you're not. And I hate when they bring up that Green Bay game, like, oh, he was 11 for 16. Yeah, you throw for 16 passes in the entire game. What do you want him to do?
I mean, when he throws, he's usually pretty effective.
And he was 11 for 16, which was a great percentage.
Go full screen myself here. Okay.
370 attempts.
270 attempts. Wow.
370 attempts. That's
Four
quite a
percent.
difference.
4% droppage from Lawrence on his percentage completion.
I mean, if you look though from year 1 to year 3, if you look at completion percentage, numbers go up every year. Yards
Slightly.
go up every year. Touchdowns up every year. Interceptions went down this year. 3 less. That's good.
Interceptions went down.
Yeah, as I said, interceptions went down. Yeah. I mean,
His yards per attempt is about average.
yeah. And I think that a lot of that was on design. That's why Luke Getsy is gone.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a good question. That's a good way of looking at it. If Trevor Lawrence is going to be the guy in Jacksonville, then you can't get rid of Fields in Chicago. So, I don't know how much we'll see of that this week. Obviously, teams tend to not make major moves during the playoffs, even the ones out of it. And if you notice, because they pay some respect to the team still in it. Unless you're Dallas just doesn't care. Dallas will fire their coach on Saturday, and they'll announce their new coach on Sunday in between games, because that's just how Dallas rolls.
Does anybody think Mike McCarthy's done there?
I think Dak is more the problem.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
McCarthy's not a bad coach, but you know what though? Look at Green Bay had them out schemed on both sides of the ball. On both sides of the ball. They had them out schemed on offense and on defense. So you could say, yeah, you might need a coaching change in Dallas because they got out coached. Because are you going to tell me that Green Bay has more talent than Dallas does?
Yo. Dallas has way more talent.
Green Bay outcoached Dallas in every way, shape, or form, I think, in that game. So there might be a coaching change. But this weekend, we got some good games to watch. For those who don't know, as we wrap up tonight's Wednesday show, first off, thank you for joining us tonight. Whether you're watching us tonight, tomorrow, whenever you're watching us, thank you. Make sure to, there you go, Mike beat me to it, to like and share on our Facebook, our YouTube. Also, you can see us on Northwest Streaming Sports and Roku Sports. So this Sunday will be our debut, 11:30 a.m. Central. These times are hard. We will start at 11:30. We will end at 12 noon Central. We will probably continue on our other platforms past 12 because I think the kickoffs are not at noon as normal for the playoffs. So we may go a little longer there. But we are now on Roku Sports. If you're on Roku Sports, we are there. You can find us on Twitter as well now. So, you've got several different places you can find us. We've just started with Northeast Streaming Sports. This will be our first show. Unfortunately, I will not be there this Sunday. I have to miss this Sunday. But make sure you join Mike and Mike. I'm not sure who else is going to be there this Sunday. I actually have a meeting. I take the entire football season off, and I belong to a motorcycle organization for veterans, and they do not see me during the regular season for the Bears. I need to go to my chapter meeting. So I will be doing Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association business. CVMA, great organization if you're a combat vet and ride motorcycles. And they don't care that I'm gone for 3 months. Like, go do your thing. But for everyone else, join us this Sunday at 11:30 Central Standard on Facebook, on YouTube, on Northeast Streaming Sports. If you may be watching us there now, we are on their page as well, streaming on Twitter and, of course, on Roku. If you've got someone who doesn't do any of these but has Roku, now they can see Bears Talk every Sunday. This will be every Sunday throughout the entire year. We're 52 weeks a year now on Roku. We will be there at 11:30 Central every Sunday without fail. In some way, shape, or form, we will be there. We may just end up talking about receivers or quarterbacks, may just be one topic. But if you watch on the other platforms, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, and you're asking questions, we will still be able to answer them while on Roku. If you watch us on Roku, I don't think we have an interface that you can do with your TV set to send us a question. But if you ask a question, you too will be on Roku. That we're very excited to announce that partnership with Northeast Streaming Sports for season 6 for now and season 6 going forward. If you also want, Northeast Streaming Sports is also on Spotify, but they just have one show a day on, and it's a non-video show. But we are now on Roku Sports on TV, so we look forward to seeing you there this weekend. The Wednesday shows will stay as are, just on Facebook, YouTube, Northeast Streaming Sports Facebook page, and Twitter. But every Sunday will now be on all that plus Roku. So we will see you this Sunday. Mike the Bear fan, are we going to go next Wednesday to keep going on with the playoffs?
Yes, sir.
We will see you here on these platforms only next Wednesday at 7:30 Central, 7:30 East, or 8:30 if you're so special East Coast people. But until then, for Mike and Mike, I'm Ken saying be safe, stay warm if you're in those cold weather states, and we will see you on Sunday on Roku TV. Bear down.
Bear down.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.